Hello and welcome to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors PrecisionHydration.com, electrolytes in different strengths that match how you sweat, and Precision Fuel 30 gels and drink mixes to give you enough carbohydrate to perform at your best. You can get 15% off your first order with the code OxygenAddict15. And we're also brought to you by Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens Ultimate Daily is an all-in-one daily supplement with 75 vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and digestive enzymes. They're all whole food sourced ingredients, and listeners get a free year's supply of liquid vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Just go to athleticgreens.com/oxygenaddict. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. I hope you're all good. There's been some exciting racing since the last time we talked, so plenty to talk about. And we've also got a few bits and bobs to tidy up from the world of Team Oxygen Addict as well. So first up, today's interview is going to be with Ross Davenport. You've heard him lots of times over the past few episodes in the lead up to his debut iron distance race at the Full Outlaw in Nottingham. He had a great race, really successful race, so it's going to be great catching up with him. He's done a great interview, and he's very, very honest about how he performed, the things that went well, the things that didn't go well for him as well. So look forward to catching up with that later on. First up, some results. Now, last episode, I was recording it as Ironman Copenhagen was taking place, so we didn't have the results. So it was great to watch. I actually had it on in the background as I was working, and I'd forgotten quite how distracting watching a full Ironman can be. I had Cam Wurf up there racing along. We had Lionel Sanders chasing him down. What a result for the pair of them. First up, congrats to Cam Wurf for taking the win there. He rode 4:02 and then followed up with a 2:49 off the bike to break the course record and win in 7:46. Lionel Sanders was running him down the whole way. He rode 4:12, so not his usual suicide pace on the bike. Then closed it out with a 2:43 on the run. Really, really good running. I read Cam Wurf's blog about this, and he says he was very in control on the run. He knew Sanders was running him down. He saved a bit under his saddle for the last few kilometres and turned the pace up a bit as Lionel started to fade. I think he waited for Lionel to get to about a minute down on him with 5Ks to go and then really turned the afterburners on. So a very very shrewd piece of racing from him. And I think it answered a lot of questions as well. People who said, well, he's just been riding with the Ineos Grenadiers for the last couple of years, and we haven't seen him really do any triathlons. What will his running be like? Well, the answer is his running is extremely strong. So he's put himself firmly on the map in one of those top 5 places for Kona when it happens in February. Really, really good performance from him. And especially reading his blog, it comes across his ride was extremely controlled. He wasn't hammering it the whole way. And to ride 4:02 with that kind of mindset, obviously his riding's come on as well as his running's come on ever since the last time we saw him race. It would have been Kona, I think, the last time he raced an iron distance race. So that's great. Sanders, excellent to see him put a great race together after his Coeur d'Alene, falling apart there. To run 2:43 off the bike, I think was a very, very assured performance. So yeah, I love watching him race. He's a real battler. Obviously, the running doesn't come easily to him, and he's running more on pure grit than he is on technique and training. So, hats off to him. He's got his Kona slot now, so it'd be great to see him. And also, he had a cracking swim in Cam Wurf's blog. Cam said he got dropped from the front group and settled into the second group, and Sanders was leading the second group. So Lionel's swim is obviously coming on. For him to swim 49, I believe that's the first time he's been under the 50-minute barrier. So it's great to see that hard work come in. If he can shave another minute or so off that swim, that'll get him even closer to the faster guys coming out of the water. And it's all, with him, with Cam Wurf, with Janfrodino. There's some great, great fast racing, and I think those guys are going to go on to push each other even more, which is great. Sanders, I think, was just a few seconds outside the old course record with a 7:49. He was clearly easing up, and he could have gone under that old course record, so great to see him racing there. And he certainly didn't leave anything under the saddle, given that he had the Collins Cup coming up the following weekend. And speaking of which, I'd be interested to know your thoughts on the Collins Cup, actually. I I watched some of it. I didn't watch it live. Obviously, we couldn't see the live feed in the UK on the Collins Cup app. I watched it the day after. So I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are on this. It was obviously massively, massively hyped. I think there's some really good stuff about it. There were some things that they need to take care of to improve. From the bits that I watched, it was difficult only having one motorbike for each race because we often didn't get to see the differences. There were some teething problems. Obviously, it had been talked up how racers were going to be mic'd up live, how we were going to be able to see the power data, the splits data accurately. There was obviously some teething problems going on with that because there were splits being given out with people being a minute down when you could see them in the background. So that obviously wasn't right at times. But I think hats off to the PTO and the Collins Cup. They did a good job for the first effort at running this race. Obviously, there's been a lot of false starts with it. But overall, I think there was some good racing that went on there. So I thought we'd just give a shout out. If you want to go back and watch some of the highlights of this. First up, over on the women's side, again, Taylor Knibb, what a performance. Daniela Ryf wasn't well. That's come out in the press afterwards. So Taylor Knibb riding a road bike, albeit an S-Works, it's either a Venge or the SL7 Tarmac. So a very aerodynamic road bike. But she put 8 minutes into Daniela Ryf, and she had, I believe, what was the fastest bike split of the day. So incredible talent. She's only raced once before over the 70.3 distance with that second place at Boulder behind Emma Pallant. So a really big scalp for her. Remains to be seen whether Ryf bounces back from the illness and comes back to the 70.3 world champs. But for sure, Taylor Knibb has stamped her name there on the middle distance. She can race anything from the super sprint through to the middle distance racing there. So really impressive from her. Emma Pallant and Kat Matthews from the UK as well. Both of them won their matches, and it kind of got lost a bit in the coverage. They were the last two ladies' races off, but had very, very quick races. Kat Matthews in particular I was impressed with because Emma already had a really strong 70.3 resume, especially from this year. Kat got her points mainly based on her performances over iron distance race, but she raced incredibly strongly over the 70.3 distance and answered certainly any doubts I had. She looked magnificent, and with each race that goes by, she's establishing herself as more and more and more of a force to be reckoned with. It was already there, obviously, over the iron distance race, but now over the 70.3 distance race as well. For her to be putting up times that are comparable to Emma Pallant and Taylor Knibb and pretty much anybody, Lucy Charles Barkley, very impressive stuff. Emma Pallant's been talked up as probably the strongest 70.3 racer on the circuit at the moment and is probably going to be going into the 70.3 world champs, if not as favourite, then as one of the favourites to win it. So Kat Matthews may be a bit under the radar before this Collins Cup performance. In fact, I don't even know whether she's qualified for the 70.3 world champs. I wasn't able to find that out before recording, but an incredibly strong performance from her. And it's great to see her delivering such great, strong run performances off the bike. She's a really strongly built athlete, and I've read some horrible criticism of her and her body shape, and there are some real dicks out there making comments about women's body shapes on social media. She is not a tiny, skinny athlete. She's very, very strong, and it's great to see her answering the critics with strong performances. So keep it up, Kat. I'm a massive fan of especially female racers, but racers in general, being strong and being healthy before they are that kind of anorexic, Kona, 0% body fat kind of body. Kat's answering a lot of those criticisms with her racing rather than in the social media. So it's really great to see, and I hope that continues for a long time. Over on the men's side, the racing really, the race I really wanted to see head to head was between two Europeans. It was Jan against Gustav. I think that was the race the two of them wanted to have as well. There was a handful of seconds between them in terms of their fastest times. It would have been great to see them running and riding shoulder to shoulder. I think the way the times stacked out, let me see if I've got the times up here in the website in the back. I think Jan was 3:13.08, Gustav was 3:13.30. In terms of the swim times, Frodeno was 25:36. And Gustav was 25.59. So it's only 20 seconds down out the water. That's a very, very good swim for him. Gustav rode 1:46.06 on the bike, Jan 1:45.24, and then Jan ran 58.50, Gustav 58.24. And again, who knows what that would have been in terms of, could Gustav have bridged up on the bike? Would Jan have gone harder? Would they have run shoulder to shoulder? That's the race that I want to see at the World 70.3 Championships. Plus, you've got Daniel Baekkegard doing 3:15 in there. You've got Lionel Sanders was a lot slower, 3:19. I thought he'd have been faster actually, but again, we don't know. He came off on the bike and he hit the ground heavily as well in the rain, so that's going to have affected his time. Who else went really fast over those distances? And yeah, it was great to see those guys racing so well, but that's the race that I really want to see. Frodeno against Gustav Iden at the World 70.3 Championships. So fingers crossed we get to see that. There's a whole bunch of other names thrown into the mix there as well. But what's interesting is guys like Sam Long who are getting talked up. When it is a head-to-head, only 3 guys in the water, Sam's swim with no pack to pull him along, he lost, how much did he lose in the water? Just shy of 5 minutes on the swim. Absolutely got found out there. On the flip side of this, Joe Skipper, who I was expecting to see really get caught out, his swim has really improved. He swam on his own and he was only a minute and a half down on Jackson Laundry and Justin Metzler. So he had a cracking swim there, and he was 2 minutes up on the swim time that Sam Long put up there. So great to see him going so well as well. Joe got ran down in his match in the final, and he really went for it as well. It was obvious to see Laundry was running really well. Joe left it all out there and had a cracking race to finish second in his race. So yeah, some good racing there. I'd like to see more of it in future, and it's the kind of thing I think that if I could have had it on the TV, I could have happily sat and either let it wash over me on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon, or got on the turbo and cranked out some miles watching that. So yeah, hats off to the PTO. He did a cracking job there. Upcoming races this weekend, we've got obviously Challenge Roth is happening in Germany. It'd be interesting to see what names end up lining up there, with Kona having been kicked off down the line into February. I imagine there'll be a lot of names turning up to Roth on the last minute entry sheet there, and it's going to be a stacked field on both the men's and the women's side. Let's see actually if Torsten's site has got the start list up. My lightning fast internet is circling around in the background and doing nothing. So, here we go, Roth entry list. Let's see what we can come up with here for you. Loving it. God bless the internet, hey? Here we go. So, on the start list, we have confirmed Kev Collington, Thomas Davis, Mark Juleson, Nils Fromhold. Not as many of the big names as I thought there, actually. Sarah Crowley's on the female side, Dimitri Lee Duke. Again, I wonder whether this is going to get bumped up and pumped up a bit with the delaying of Kona. We will have to watch this space and see. All right, good stuff. So upcoming, we've got that. And we've also got Super League Triathlon London happening. So tune in for that. That should be all over the place, I think, on the TV, and it's also on the internet to watch there. So get yourself down there for the viewing of Super League. And if you're in London, I've seen on the Super League's website they're giving away free tickets to go down and watch that in person. So get over there and check that out. I want to give a couple of shouts out before we go into the interview of the week for our athletes who've raced well. First up, a lot of you will know I've been really, really following Dr. Tom Crossland's progress on his Run to Refuge run around England and Wales. 2,000-mile run, running an ultra marathon every day, 5 days a week for the last 3 months, raising money for the Tribe Freedom Foundation to help end human trafficking. I'm very, very pleased and proud to announce that Tom finished his challenge this weekend just gone. An amazing achievement. I was really not hoping, I was planning on being down there to run the last 5K with Tom and be part of the big pack of runners that ran with him. Unfortunately, at the last minute, a close family member of mine tested positive for COVID and I couldn't go down. Didn't want to put those guys at risk, and the travel chaos it caused with us trying to get people home from holidays and stuff meant it was just impossible. But the important thing is he completed it. Tom absolutely, he did himself proud. He did the charity proud. He's raised over 20 grand for charity for the Tribe Freedom Foundation to help end human trafficking. And I was watching his interview. There's estimated to be somewhere in the region of 140,000 people in the UK who are victims of modern slavery, so who've been trafficked into the country and are being forced into either sex work or very low paid jobs cleaning cars and things like that. So it's a staggering number of people in the modern world that Tom's helped raise that awareness of, and hopefully some of the money that's been raised will help alleviate that suffering in some of the people who, you know, are really victims of this. So amazing performance from him. Absolutely brilliant. You guys can go over to runtorefuge.com and donate a few quid if you haven't done already. That'd be brilliant, and it would really mark, you know, Tom's challenge. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Also, a couple of people to give shout outs to here. Simon Maguire, one of our Team Oxygen Addict coached athletes. You'll have heard him about this time last year on one of our age group stories. Simon raced the New Forest 70.3 distance race this weekend just gone. His previous best time was 6:50 at Outlaw X, which had a shortened swim, so it would have been more like 7 hours 15 with a full swim for him. He went 6 hours 15 at the New Forest, so it was between a 45 and 60 minute PB. Simon's an absolute inspiration. He's always posting videos in our Facebook group about getting his out early. He's training. He's lost, I don't know how much weight he's lost, but it's a huge amount. It must be 10, 15, maybe more kilos. He absolutely loves it. He's a really supportive guy, encouraging other members of the team with their training. And you can't help but be enthused by the guy when he's out there, you know, posting videos of himself 5 seconds after finishing an FTP test or a 10K run test, or even in this instance, just having crossed the line in the 70.3. So it's amazing to see how much progress he's made so far, and I can't wait to see how much progress he can continue to make as well. So best of luck down at 70.3 Weymouth in a few weeks, Simon. I also want to give a shout out to Fake Deck, who he was another one of our age group stories this time last year. He was racing Ironman Hamburg. The weather was atrocious in Hamburg. It was cold. It rained all day. So much so that Fake had to put on a sort of long sleeve top and a rain jacket to do the bike course in. Swerving to avoid something, he managed to crash his bike. He went off the road on a section of the course in Hamburg that was going over a dam. So he went off the road and down the slope of the dam on the grass and came off. Luckily, the medics were right there and helped him. He was sitting around for 10 minutes in a daze and he was fine to get going again. Despite having crashed and sat around on the floor and put his bike back together, he still did a 47-minute PB, finishing in 11:55 and breaking that 12-hour barrier for the first time. So he'd have been possibly an hour faster, I think, without that crash. But it's an amazing performance from him. He's had loads of races cancelled and postponed and moved this year. And it's great to see him get out there, even though the weather was horrific, and smash that 12-hour barrier. So well done, Fake. It's great to see you racing so well. You've got an even faster time in you after all the hard work you've put in and with the bad luck you've had in this race. So hats off to you. Well done, mate. All right. Before we go to this week's interview of the week, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at precisionhydration.com. These guys do fantastic different strength electrolytes to match how you sweat. So some people can lose as little as 200 milligrams of sodium per litre of sweat, whereas I'm at the heavy end. I took an advanced sweat test with them and I found I lose 1,500 milligrams per litre of sweat. To help you nail your hydration strategy, the guys at Precision Hydration provide personalized recommendations and electrolytes that match how you sweat. If you struggle in the heat or you've experienced dehydration and cramping and can't get to an advanced sweat test center, you can take the free online sweat test and receive your personalized hydration strategy. Now, they're also trying to do for fueling what they've done for hydration with their new 30 fuel drink mixes and Precision Fuel 30 gels. Each has got 30 grams of carbs in, so it can help you nail exactly how many carbs you need per hour to hit the exact fueling recommendations for the distance of race you're racing and for your body type. So head over to precisionhydration.com and use the code OxygenAddict15 for 15% off your first order. And in the show notes, there's links for their quick carb calculator, their free online sweat test, and book a free 20-minute hydration and fueling strategy video consultation with their experts. Loads of our Team Oxygen Addict coach athletes have taken advantage of this, and every single one, I'm not just saying this, every single one who's had one has come back just raving about how good the call was, how personalized the advice was, and with a really clear set of guidance for both carbohydrate, water, and electrolyte intakes for their races. So my advice to you is don't leave it to chance. Give them a ring, talk to them, find out exactly what you need to be doing for your race and your body, and just eliminate one of the unknowns for middle and long distance racing. All right, over to this week's interview of the week with Ross Davenport. All right, Ross, welcome back onto the show. Congratulations on becoming an outlaw, full iron distance finisher, slightly different from your usual 2-minute flat out efforts in the pool of your Olympic swimming career.
Yeah, slightly different. But yeah, no, thank you very much. I completed it, or finished it. So say not complete it. I think you can only complete it once you've won it. Finished it, and I'm not just saying this. I absolutely loved it. I loved the day.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I loved everything about it on the day. Obviously, it was a hard road getting there. I'm sure everyone can appreciate, and everyone can have their own stories. But yeah, it's been a tough old time, especially with certainly with the Outlaw. I think this was the first full event since 2018. I think because of the bike course was cancelled in 19, and obviously it was 20 was cancelled. So yeah, so it was nice to be a part of that first one for a number of years, because it felt like the events are back and people were looking forward to racing. And yeah, I could be honest, like I love the whole day. I love the whole weekend of everything that was being part of the team, being part of the event, and making the most of running around Nottingham.
It's interesting you say it's great to be part of the first, events are back kind of feeling, because I'd actually forgotten. We're now recording, it's like a month later. There was that real feeling leading up to it of, is it going to happen? There was a real uncertainty still. And now a month later, it feels like, I've been reporting bits on Ironmans happening all over the world. And it does feel like, events are back. The Olympics happened. We didn't know whether that was going to happen. That was virtually the same weekend, wasn't it? But it was that almost celebratory atmosphere of, wow, this is actually happening after 2 whole seasons of it not happening properly. Yeah,
no, you're right. And, I think the great thing about, certainly for me, the Outlaw is, everybody who entered has the ability to do it. As you look at some of the events now, some of the Ironman events abroad, people are worrying about whether they have to be double vaccinated or if they have to isolate on the way home. So it's added a whole level of complication to people's preparation. And you've seen a lot of people defer, so the events are not as busy as they probably initially would have been. But with the Outlaw being a domestic event and the majority of people, if not all the people coming from the UK, it just seemed like it was I say easy because that's not the right words, but it was a doable and as achievable for people to get to the start. No travel and very limited restrictions. And even just in the weeks leading up to things were changing. I think the transition got up shorter. I think more people were allowed to be there. At one point, I think they were talking about no spectators, even though it's in I don't know how many acres Home Pierpoint is, but they were never going to be able to stop that. But I think they were going to put things in place to make it not as easy for spectators. So having spectators there, having a shorter transition, everything just felt. I've never done one before, but everything felt to me pretty much as normal as it could do.
Yeah,
and it was great. Yeah. It was great to be there. Great to be a part of it.
I've got to say as well, like, congratulations again. Like doing your first full distance race is massive. It's such a massive achievement, and I think it's easy to look from the outside and go, well, you've been to the Olympics, of course you're going to be able to do this. But it's so completely different being a sprint event to completing a what the ultra distance is the only word for it, isn't it? When it's taking 9, 10, 11, 12 up to 17 hours.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I think it's been documented. I did one super sprint beforehand 6 years ago, and then an Olympic distance, which the run was only 5 miles, I think, in the end, about 5 years ago. So that's the only kind of experience I've got into triathlon. So, and I knew that if I did a half, I probably wouldn't have done a full, just because I would have gone 100% all in, redlined it the whole way through, and collapsed over the line and thinking I could never take another step more, so I won't do it. So the only way I was going to do it and complete it was by just throwing myself into it and doing a full distance. But yeah, it's a long day. It's a long day. It's a long, hard journey. It's it's a long build up to that point as well. So hats off to everybody that trains for it, that completes it, or even just enters it and gets to the start line, because there's so many hurdles, obstacles to get over and get to be able to get to the start line. And the thing that's it's just so inspiring. I remember I've done the London Marathon before, and that's inspiring. But it's so inspiring to see people of all walks of life, all from different backgrounds, going to do a challenge to challenge themselves. Okay, you've probably got the top 10 people there out of 1,300 people that are going to try and win and do things. Everybody else is there for their own personal journey and their own personal accomplishments. And I was riding around on the bike course and just like smiling, just loved it. I loved everybody, and I saw everybody. I don't know whether I was just really happy to be where I was and not where they were, especially when I was coming down on the second loop. But just seeing people out on their bikes, not expensive, just doing a challenge. And when I got onto the bike, I remember I could hear the announcer almost saying that I know we might have been getting off the bike. Yeah, that the people were up against the clock whether to get to the next stage, and it's that is more exciting than watching the winners go and break the course record, because it's like, are they going to complete it in the time that they're allowed to? And the journey that those guys have come on is just massive. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to be a part of.
It is, man, and you're dead right to identify that. The fact that it's hard enough to sort of challenge yourself to do this event. But then if you layer on top of it, if you're the kind of person who's struggling to make the swim cut off and then struggling to make the bike cut off, if you've got that pressure of chasing that all day as well, I think people don't think about that aspect of it if they haven't got friends who are at that point in the field, just how challenging that is to race around with that kind of the sword hanging over your head all day. If am I going to get there? I can't afford a puncture. I can't afford to drop a water bottle. And we both know people from the team who are in that position who really chased it all day. And it makes it more than just about top end elite competition. It makes you realize that everyone's got a level for them that's top end elite competition. And that might just be getting to the next cutoff and being able to continue.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, I don't want to downplay anybody's achievement or anything, but, if you're listening and you're involved in triathlon, or you want to have a go, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You just have to be very dedicated and make sure that the training is done years in advance. But anybody can actually do it. And you see that on the day, and you see people, like I say, different walks of life, different age groups. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was like the 70, 75-year-old age? And the time was like, I can't remember off the top of my head, but 14, 15 hours. It was, this guy's like in his 70s.
Yeah.
You don't know his background at all. Could be an ex-former marathon runner, or, it could be Bradley Wiggins in 30, 40 years' time. But you have no idea. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it. If you honestly stick to a plan, train hard, and be relentless with that, anybody can do it and anyone can achieve it. And if people haven't quite managed to do it and managed to achieve it, you see people and you see people crossing the line, like say, literally making the cutoff, that are doing it for a different reason. And for me, that's where the inspiration comes of it. Yeah, it's great to see somebody breaking a course record, but that just makes me really annoyed that somebody can go that fast over that distance. I actually want to see the people that are all in and have had huge hurdles to get to, and just see the look on their faces when they cross the line. That for me is what this is all about.
Yeah. Let's talk about your race. I want to hear the blow by blow from the start as we go. We've had Andy Horsfall turn on and heard about racing at the very pointy end. And you saw his toes at the start of the race as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought. So I did my research. I looked at the start list and I was like, oh, they gave me number 7. I was like, why have I got number 7? I want to be hid in the pack, probably like 300 or something. So 7. So I was like top of the start list. So that made me nervous when the start list came out. I was like, oh, geez. So I kind of just like did a bit of research of people around me. Andrew obviously comes from a swimming background. I think he finished in 2018. And then's got into triathlon and certainly long distance triathlon. And was and obviously doing really, really well. So I knew the first thing I did when I went on the start line, I kind of sniffed him out and I just stood next to him. And I was like, right, I can let him go and I'll go 5 seconds after. I just want to stick on his feet. And that's really what I did for, well, I would like to say for 50 minutes, but I did it for about 5. Stuck on his feet for about 5 minutes. And then he started getting a little bit further ahead. And as much as I'd like to say I let him go, I think I could have probably kept up with him if I'd gone all in. But I knew that my race or my challenge that day was not about trying to get out the swim first or saving a minute here or there. It was about getting round and actually completing in a time that I think I could do. So yeah, I watched him go. But yeah, I really enjoyed the swim. A lot of people have said about the sun coming from the far end of Home Pier Point, but that it was quite an overcast day, so it was fine.
Yeah.
The water was really, really warm. Not too warm that you wouldn't wear a wetsuit, but it was really warm. Like, it wasn't a shock when you dived in. And then, it was the swim was uneventful, really. Apart from getting tangled in a few weeds, but that's open water swimming for you. It was pretty flat and very uneventful. So really pleased with the way the swim went. I think came out second, and from that moment on, for the next few hours, it just had a massive smile on my face. Went into transition. I didn't really know what to do, how to do everything, and I didn't know whether getting changed when it was wet was going to make a big issue, and then running to your bike. So all these things, the transitions were probably the thing I worried about the most. Just how do you get them right? Do I rush? Do I take my time? And I got everything out of my bag. Struggled to get my wetsuit in the bag because they're really fiddly when they're wet and get them in the bag. And I borrowed a visor off my friend, a helmet with a visor on, a magnetic visor. So as I was running to my bike, I put my helmet on, and I was trying to stick the visor onto the top of my to my head, and it wouldn't stick on. And I was like, I don't remember. I'm not a bike. If anyone knows me, I'm not a bike mechanic or any mechanical in any way. So I was trying to stick it on anyway. I put my shoes on, and I was looking at this visor, and I realised that the small magnet from the middle was missing, so it was never going to stick on. I went back a good few hours later, and I found this magnet in my bag. So obviously, as I ripped the visor out, it's come off. The magnet's in the bag. I'm trying to stick this visor to my head with no magnet. So more for just how I looked aesthetically, I was really annoyed with myself because I looked like I should have been riding a moped with this white helmet on without the visor. So I looked right, chopper. So anyway, I got on my bike. I was fine.
I'm going to have to try and find a photo of this, to use as the header for the for the podcast.
But anyway, I didn't have any glasses or anything because I was just using this visor. So I was like, I mean, this visor and this helmet looks super cool when it's on.
Yeah.
If you don't have the visor on, flip me. You know, looks a bit like Wallace and Gromit. You know, the sidecar. Come on, Wallace. Come on, Gromit. So anyway, we did the first lap round the lake, and stuffed all my pockets, and I was one thing that I really homed in on, I think, was my nutrition. So I planned it beforehand. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing, but I'd worked with the guys at PH, Precision Hydration, and they were really good, and it made a lot of sense to me of what to do. So I was really clear, and I had like a plan in my mind of what I was going to do. And then I think I had 4 bottles with me. So I knew that I wanted to do 6 hours on the bike. I was going to have a bottle in every hour. So I knew I had the first 4 hours covered. I needed then to look after the last 2 hours. So I took a sachet, not a sachet, but a pouch of tablets, the plastic pouch with tablets. And within the first mile, I went round a right-hand corner, heard this massive smash. I turned around and I could see that my whole nutrition for the last 2 hours was all over the floor.
Oh, no.
So not only did I look like Gromit, I'd also lost the nutrition for the last 2 hours on my bike. So I wasn't going to go back and pick it up. So I just carried on, and we just thought I'd deal with that later. So yeah, everything. I love the bike. I really love the bike, and
it's interesting to hear you say that, mate, because every call we've had along the way, you've said to me, "I hate biking."
I do.
Everyone who knows me knows I hate biking, and all of a sudden, the thing that you've done all the way through the winter and all the way through the spring becomes the thing that you really love on race day.
Yeah. Well,
has that changed your attitude going forward to riding? Do you think?
I'm not so sure about that. I love the bike course on the day, but it's. I knew I was second, and I knew Andrew had gone. He'd got his shoes and socks on before I'd even thought about taking my goggles off. And I got overtaken in the lake by somebody, so I knew I was third, and I was like, I'm third, I'm third on the bike, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody went past me, not that long, probably a mile or so into the bike course. I knew I was fourth, and then I was just fourth for ages. And I was a bit like, where is everybody? Obviously, I know the 3 guys had gone ahead. I was like, it's a bit lonely, like, up here. Don't worry, if you're listening to this, it changes certainly towards the end. It was very, very lonely at the end. And then somebody else went past me, and as he went past me, I was like, oh, you're fifth now. And he's like, oh, so like had a little chat, and then a couple more people went past me, and then I think it was about 2 hours. I was like, right, I want to be in the top 10 for the first 2 hours on the bike, so 3 hours in total. So that was my target then. It's made it my mission to be the top 10 for the first 3 hours. And I can't actually remember. I need to have a long hard think back, but it might have been the first 2.5 hours on the bike that was top 10. I quickly went from 10th to 20th to 30th, and all these expensive. I like to think that they're expensive bikes, but they're also big machines that are pushing these bikes. But yeah, all these expensive bikes went past me, and then the first woman went past me. I was like, "Oh, you're the first woman." And the second woman went past me. I was like, "You're second." And then the third woman went past me. So all I know is that I don't know where I came on the bike course, but I know I was the 4th woman, and that's something that I'm really proud of. And we got round it, and it was very, very uneventful. And I think really that's the best that you can hope for on a long distance marathon, is to just be very uneventful. And the course was great.
So in terms of your like your race plan, your nutrition strategy, it all just kind of went to what you'd worked out and planned, and you got to the end of the ride and it was like, oh, okay, long way, but no drama. Yeah, that's what you want to be, isn't it?
Pretty much. I think it was about 30 miles. I was really hot on my nutrition because I knew that it would come back to bite me later on. After about 30 miles, I did take some of the nutrition and did feel like I needed to be, or wanted to be sick. And I was like, oh, that's, I had practiced my nutrition beforehand. So I was a bit taken back about that. I didn't know why that had happened. And I didn't really think too much of it. And it was fine on the bike. And I wanted to do the bike in 6 hours, and I knew that the way I was riding was a lot faster than that. And so I was really pleased, and just seeing other people of the Oxygen Addict people going past, just waving to them, and the people that out that were cheering. It was really nice to be a part of you're in this massive event on this up to 17-hour day, yet you actually feel like you're part of a team, even though you're just one member of, or one person of this huge event. So it was really nice to kind of wave, and people were, waving and cheering back. So that was really nice on the bike to have that community feel to it. And but yeah, I think it was the third woman that went past me, and I was like, right, I'm going to stick on a.
Did you start getting all competitive?
Not stick on a wheel, because you're not allowed to draft, are you? But to get within 12 meters of and I went to go, and it's about 90 miles, and I felt my hamstring start to cramp, and that was really my conscience just telling me, don't be an idiot. You've got a long way to go. So yeah, it was a blessing in disguise, I think. Otherwise, I think I probably could have done the bike 2 or 3 minutes quicker, but it would probably be added at another hour onto the run, which was already.
Yeah, that's an interesting realization, isn't it? That a few minutes on the bike can be a massive, massive drain on the run. How did you feel getting off the bike?
I felt right, and when I first did my first Brook run, I was like, felt like I was walking on the moon. I had no idea, no concept of pace or anything. And it was interesting. And I've had a few text messages with Lucy Charles Bartley, and I just said that, how on earth do you cope with those brick runs? And she just said, you get used to them. And I was like, well, yeah, okay. Yeah. It's great for you to say that when you're full-time, probably do them every single day. I've got like 6 or 7 of them. I've got to be honest, by the 3rd or 4th one, they actually became, I wouldn't say normal, but you certainly get used to it a lot better, and you understand the pace.
That's it. Yeah. You understand how it's going to feel, and that your legs will come back after a bit, right?
Yeah. And I've got to be honest, the one thing I was concerned about is getting cramp. So I had to lay my bike completely down. All these people talking about flying dismount. I'd have cramped up like tomorrow, and you wouldn't see me again. So I had to lie my bike completely on the ground, swing my leg over, and then pick my bike back up and go to the transition. But I think the transition helped being quite long in terms of, you jog to rack your bike, and then you kind of get yourself sorted, and then you start the run. So I felt good on the first mile. Certainly, my legs were pretty much there. And then for 10 miles, I was kind of on pace, and then it went drastically downhill.
So let's talk about the experience on the run then, because that's where the rubber meets the road for everybody, isn't it? You felt all right once you got off the bike. Yeah. 10 miles in the bag.
My 2 biggest worries about the whole day was getting a puncture and getting cramp on the bike, or getting a cramp when I got off the bike. So once I'd finished the bike, I felt like I'd done it. I felt like my worries had gone, because I can't get a puncture on running, and if I get cramp, I could probably deal with it whilst I'm running. It was starting the run with cramp was my biggest worry, and I didn't have it. So as I came in, I was like, I've done this. I've done it. Naively didn't think that I've still got another 26 miles to run, and ended up being 4.5 hours to run. Not far off half of the day to go, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I kind of got all this emotion that I've done it. And then actually the whole process of them running 26 miles quickly dawned on me after about 10 that I've still got another 16 to go. And that's a pretty hefty run on its own. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of, it was when I was coming back into Home Pier Point to go around the Roman Lake to then go back out again.
Yeah.
So it kind of I just saw home, and then I had to run round it and then go and do it all over again, which I think just completely messed with my mind. And I lost it for 3 miles, 4 miles between mile 10 and mile 14. And then I managed just to run with somebody who, kept me company for those 4 miles. And then I got a second wind from 14 to probably like nearly almost 22 miles. Because then you're on the second lap, you're on the last lap. And went back out to Nottingham, over the bridge, came back. And then I was home. I kind of felt like once I got to 15, 16 miles, I was home, because everything was heading back into Home Pier Point for the last time. And then so all it was a couple of laps around the lake, and then you're done. And I got back into Home Pier Point around about 21, 22 miles, thinking, I've smashed it. My bike time was half an hour quicker. My swim time was pretty much bob on, but I was 5 minutes quicker in terms of swim and transition than I'd probably scheduled for. So I was like, manufactured all this time, and I wanted to do the event in 11 hours. So that was my main game, just to do it in 11 hours. And then I now had a sniff of going under, and probably going under 11 by 10 or 15 minutes. And I was talking to a guy that was like jogging alongside me at the other side of the railings. And I was like, I've got 50 minutes to do 4 miles. And he's like, oh, you'll smash it. I was like, yeah, I know. I've just got to run around here twice and that's it, I'm done. And that last 4 miles, geez Louise, that was like the longest, the quickest in time and the longest in distance I've ever known to man. Every time I looked at my watch, I'd gone about 4 steps in about 10 minutes. And time was just running away with me. And I then got so annoyed with myself that I'd let time slip, or this, my ultimate goal of going under 11 hours. And let's be honest, my ultimate goal was to finish. I wasn't actually that too bothered, but I was in sniffing distance of doing the best that I thought I could do on the day. And it was just slipping away. And I almost I couldn't do anything about it. And I saw you, Rob, and you're like, you've got 3K to go. And I was like, I think he's lying, because it looks further than that. And I've got half an hour to do it. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And it was just that I've got to do it. I've got to get my head down, and I've just got to put one foot in front of the other and just reevaluate every 2 or 3 minutes just to see where we are. And luckily, I did it by 90 seconds. So
awesome.
That feeling of running down, I was very pale. I was very grey, but I was very relieved and very pleased to get to the end in my goal time, in my first one, without any huge incidents that was happening along the way. So I feel very fortunate, sitting back, reflecting a month later, that really everything had gone my way, because a week earlier, I think it was like 30 degrees.
Yeah.
And it would have been a whole different ball game. And then we've not had great weather since. So it could have been completely different. It was an overcast day, moderate wind. What more can you ask for, really, in a July day?
So what thoughts have you had for the future? Are you a one and done man? I think enough space has passed now where we're allowed to start contemplating the future, aren't we?
Yeah, I've got to be honest. So leading up to this was just I'm just going to do it once, and that's it.
Yeah.
And across the line, and I couldn't walk for a long time, so I was like, I'm never doing that again. Like, I don't need to do it. I've actually, that 90 seconds has just ticked every box for me, because unless I think I can go another hour quicker and go under 10 hours, I don't need to do another one. If I'd done it 11 hours and 1 minute, I'd have been annoyed, and I would have felt like I had to go again and go under 11 hours. So I'm like, can I go an hour quicker? I was like, my bike was was amazing. My swim was as good as it was probably going to be. My run, yes, okay, I could make up a lot of time, but what detriment would the bike have on that if I went faster? So I was like, cross the line, done. Almost wanted to put a sticker on my bike, for sale.
Yeah.
And you can take my turbo with you as well.
Yeah.
Cancels with everything, and I probably, obviously the event was Sunday, probably got to about Wednesday, and I was like, if you put the paper in front of me now and said sign here, I'd do it. I'd be in.
Really?
And is that
something about it? Hey, you've been bitten by the bug.
So yeah, that lasted for about a week, and it's still lingering. But I don't know. Essentially, it still comes down to if I think, or I guess if we think we can go under 10 hours, then I will go for it. If not, I'm happy to leave it, having done it. And this is I've documented before, but this has taken 3 years to get to this point.
Yeah,
not just a 12-month thing. Through one thing, through illness, or obviously what happened last year. So it has been a huge commitment, but I do feel now lost on what to do in terms of that structure that we had that was working towards a goal, and now feel a little bit lost and a little bit floaty of what to do next. So there definitely will be something, but now I feel like I've got a relationship with the Outlaw that I have to do it again. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do the Outlaw again, because I loved it. It was so friendly. For me, it was so local, and it's a well-run event. So I can't speak highly enough of it. I'm basing it on one event that's all I've ever done. But for me, it just couldn't have gone any better from an organisational point of view. And it was just brilliant to be a part of that day.
Well, I think we're allowed to give you some space to make your decision about whether you're going to do another one again in the future, man. I think I just want to say well done, on behalf of me and everyone else listening and the team members. It's easy to look from the outside. I've said this before and go, oh well, you've got this history as an Olympian. Of course you're going to be able to do it, but everybody knows that it's very, very different doing something for 11 hours than it is doing something for 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes. So to complete your first full distance, to have committed to the training for it for, I was going to say for a year, but really it's been pretty much 3 years in the run up to it for you, hasn't it? That's the real benefit of it. That's the real payoff, is committing to do something day in, day out. And almost the event, I think, is the icing on the cake at the end of that.
It is. And I think it's that, and that's the highs and the lows of it. I think at the end is because it's such a buzz that it's all over. You've done it. You've got there. Everything you've worked towards is paid off. And then the lows, a couple of days later, it's gone.
Yeah. What now?
Yeah, I've done. But I also think, yes, I come from a competitive background, but that life was a long time ago. And that's why is so. The admiration I have of everybody that does this is greater, because it doesn't take a genius to as you're cycling around for 6 hours to understand the demographics of who are doing this. It's middle-aged people. Yes, okay. Yeah. The majority of people are 30 to 50, 55, whatever. I don't know what the breakdown is, but the majority of people have families, have lives, have social lives, and this is a hobby. This is something that they do on the side that obviously does take a huge amount of commitment, but everyone has different pressures. And, last year has caused so much stress and strain for so many people. And to be able to get to the start line in one piece, having been through what we've all been through last year, is such a credit to everybody that is out there doing it and got events on, or had events this year and got events on in the future. So yeah, okay, people might look and say, yeah, an elite athlete, that's fine, but the true stars of this event and the events that you cover are the people that have daily lives that really have other commitments and other pressures. And there's no bigger pressure than a family life when you're going out for a 6-hour ride on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you're missing events and you're missing things, or you're trying to fit it in or shoehorn it into where you can train or where you can't train. Then you throw in work on top of that. It's a big commitment. So, people that do these events, be proud of doing them. Be proud of getting to the start line, and really be proud of your results at the end.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. Well, listen, well done from me. It's been great to watch your progress, and it was great to see you, even though, as you said, you were a little bit grey as you crossed the line and didn't want to talk to me for a few minutes. I liked watching you have your own little space to contemplate. I've done this. I'm going to put my head on the railings, and I've done this.
That was just me. I couldn't move. It looks like I was reflecting. I wasn't reflecting. I was probably thinking of how the next challenge of how on earth was I going to go climb those stairs and go on to my family.
That's the final challenge there, isn't it? You cross the line, there's 3 flights of stairs to get up to the finish.
No, but honestly, Rob, thank you very much. You've been an amazing support, amazing help. And, the structure that you've given me, I honestly couldn't have done it without it. And being part of the day with the rest of the team, for me, that was the biggest highlight, is being part of a team and being part of an event that actually your team came together with the knowledge that it has. I was very proud to be one small member of that team, and hats off to everyone who was there.
Oh, and it was awesome to have you part of it, mate. I appreciate the kind words. It's very kind of you, but you're the one who did all the hard work, man.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. All right, great stuff there from Ross. It's fantastic to hear the enthusiasm that he's got, how much he loved the event, the fact that, he's thinking about coming back next year to do the event again because he was so in love with the event itself. So if you've not been down to an Outlaw event, it's well worth entering yourself into one for next year, because they are just such fantastic, well-run, friendly events. And I've got to say, Ross, well done, mate. You really dug into the training. You really dedicated yourself to it, and you got the result that you deserve there. It's really great to see, and I hope you go on to do many, many more in the future. All right, guys, that just about brings us to the end of this week's show. Before we do that, I'd just say, if you've enjoyed what you heard with Ross's interview and you're interested in finding out more about being coached and joining Team Oxygen Addict, there's a link in the show notes. You can book a call with me or Andy. We'll have a chat with you about your goals and whether you'd be a good fit for coaching with us. We'd love to be able to help you out. Also, thanks to our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com. You can use the code OxygenAddict15 for 15% off your first electrolyte and fuel order. And also go to athleticgreens.com/OxygenAddict for your all-in-one daily nutritional supplement. And listeners get a free year's supply of liquid vitamin D and 5 free travel packs when you go to that link. All right, so remember, all those links are in the show notes, so you don't have to remember them. And until next week, have a great, safe training and racing week. I'm Coach Rob Wilby, and you've been listening to the Oxygen Addict Triathlon Podcast. See ya.